everyone. My name's Christina Mason, and I'm here to talk to you about Ludwig van Beethoven's Fair Elise, also known as the Bagatelle number 25 in A minor. First, a little bit about the composer. Ludwig van Beethoven was German. He was born in 1770. He's a very large musical figure during this time period, mostly between the classical era and the Romantic era, which we know are two big musical time periods in history. He was very new and innovative in his ideas, dealing mostly with the sonata, the symphony that deals with big orchestras, concertos which have soloists with the orchestra, and quartets which are four instrumentalists playing together, often string players playing together. So he did a lot of work with that. His father wanted him to be a child prodigy, so he made Beethoven work very, very hard, and he actually had his first public concert in 1778. And if you remember, he was born in 1770, so that made him 8 years old, having his first public concert. Beethoven had a very sad life. He was mostly miserable and very lonely and kind of edgy and quick-tempered. This began when his father couldn't support his family at around age 14 or so. And so he actually ended up moving to Vienna and studied with Haydn there, but his loneliness still continued, and through many years he struggled with deafness, which is a common known fact about Beethoven, but this got really bad during his last 10 years of his life. However, despite his deafness, in 1803 to 1812, he wrote a ton of music, a lot of different things, and it was during this time that he wrote Fair Elise. He wrote an opera, he wrote 6 symphonies, which are very big works for composers. He wrote 4 solo concerti, he wrote 5 string quartets, he wrote 6 string sonatas, 7 piano sonatas, 5 sets of piano variations, 4 overtures, 4 trios, 6 sextets, 72 songs, and as I mentioned, he wrote Fair Elise. Fair Elise was written in 1810, so Beethoven already knew that he had some deafness developing, and he had a lot of emotions about this, and it was very discouraging to him. So he wrote Fair Elise. First off, we want to ask, who was Elise? What is this for Elise, and who was it written for? So there are many different beliefs. Some believe it was a German soprano that he knew. The most common belief is that it was actually supposed to be for Therese, and it was a mistranscription by the one who actually published it later. Therese Moffatti was a friend and a former student of Beethoven's. He had fallen in love with her and decided, well, I want to propose to her in 1810. And so he actually proposed to her at a gathering with multiple people, and he wrote this piece for her. And she actually requested that he write a subtitle for Therese. So she actually turned down his proposal, however. She was in love with an Austrian nobleman, and so she turned down his proposal, which was another thing to add to his very lonely and sad life. This piece ended up being published about 40 years after his death, again with the mistranscribed name. And if you remember, I mentioned that it was also called a Bagatelle number 25 in A minor. So also, what's a bagatelle? And why was it important to Beethoven? So the first thing, a definition of a bagatelle would be a short, unpretentious instrumental piece or composition. That's also known as just kind of a light-hearted solo piece, often for the piano. Many other composers wrote pieces like this, such as Couperin, Liszt, Schubert, Dvorak, and many other composers. This is an intermediate level piece. Some people call it a level 7 piece out of 10 levels. It's an A minor and a 3/8 time signature. It has some challenges with the arpeggios in the left hand and the clear thing that comes back in multiple ways. Although it's called a bagatelle, it's actually in rondo form, which has an A-B-A-C-A form, where A are the same sections, and B and C are different sections, often more challenging than A. So finally, Beethoven died in 1827. But his most important achievement was really bringing instrumental music to people that were in the high level of the arts, those who appreciated fine literature and those who appreciated paintings and vocal music. So he brought simple pieces like a bagatelle and many, many others, instrumental pieces. He brought those to the forefront of these artists, of these listeners. And he said that even a small piano composition can have much emotion and can be as emotional as any other art form. So congratulations for learning Fair Elise, and we'll learn more about it together.